I welcome to my second video session on economics made easy. I would like to share my comment with one and all. It is to my dismay, in South, students largely prefer BCom courses, BCom corporate secretaryship, even history, but they do not prefer economics. Truly speaking, economics is such a wonderful subject, isn't it? You tend to strengthen your knowledge and also your English. So with this, let us start off my lecture with a small recap as to what has been done in the previous session. Okay, a small recap so that you would tend to have a better continuity. See, we did start with a humble beginning by making a clear-cut distinction between two important concepts which is largely made use of in economics subject. One is the term economics, the other is economy. The term economics refers to what? A body of knowledge which has been looked at from different perspectives like wealth, welfare, scarcity, growth and development. I'm repeating it. Those who want to take a note of it, you can just take a note of it. What is economics? Economics is nothing but a systematic body of knowledge, okay, which has been looked at from different perspectives like wealth, welfare, scarcity, growth and development. On the other hand, there is another term which is almost used interchangeably, and that term is, or the concept is, economy. Economy and economics are used more often by common people or even sometimes even by professionals in an interchangeable manner, one instead of the other, isn't it? But in economic sense, the term economy and economics both are different. They are not one and the same. Then the question arises as to what is an economy then? If you happen to listen to TV news, radio news, or even going through your newspapers, you would have come across the words like Indian economy, German economy, French economy, so on and so forth. So the term country is associated with economy. If that be the case, do you mean to say that all countries are economies? No. Then we have to understand as to what is a country then. A country is nothing but a landmass with a well-defined political boundary in terms of its longitudes and latitudes. Isn't it? So here we are making use of two important terms. What are longitudes and latitudes? So as I've told you earlier, as you tend to learn the subject of economics, you tend to strengthen your knowledge as well, isn't it? You can just go through your earlier class books, textbooks, and understand as to what do you mean by longitude and latitude, isn't it? I'm repeating it. What is a country? A country is a landmass with a well-defined political boundary. See, I'm again making use of the word called as political boundary. If we just take up the Indian map as such, at the time of independence, the political map of India was totally different as to what we are seeing today in 2025, isn't it? So politically, the nature of the map tends to vary. That is why when we tend to define the term country, we always say that it is a landmass with a well-defined political boundary in terms of its longitudes and latitudes. For example, to make it more clearer, okay, let us take for example an atlas or a globe. Again, I'm making use of two important words. What is an atlas? What is a globe? In ordinary language, what is an atlas? An atlas is nothing but what? A two-dimensional representation of the earth in terms of its what? In terms of its political aspects, in terms of its geographical aspects, whatnot. Then what is a globe then? It is a three-dimensional representation of the earth, isn't it? So I'm giving you a smaller definition. I'm not going to the finer aspects of defining as to what is a globe and that. At least you should know this particular way of explaining as to what is a globe and an atlas, isn't it? So if we just take up the globe or atlas, in Southeast Asia, there is a nation by name, or there is a country by name, Melanesia, okay, near to Java, Sumatra, okay, you have an island called as what? Melanesia. Here humans are existing, okay, even today, but civilization is yet to take place. Again, I am making use of the word called as what? Civilization. What is civilization? A systematic way of life in terms of its what? Social, cultural, political, religious, so on and so forth, isn't it? So, here civilization is yet to take place, which means what? They are still nomads, they are food gatherers, they are hunters, okay? They are hunters, they are cannibals as well, So, we just call this particular landmass as what? A country, but we do not call it as what? An economy then. The question arises as to what is an economy. An economy is nothing but what? An integration of three sectors, namely primary, secondary, tertiary. Primary refers to what? The agricultural sector activity. Secondary refers to what? Manufacturing industrial activity. Tertiary refers to what? The service sector. So, an integration of these three sectors, we call it as what? An economy. I think now, if you just take up Indian economy textbooks for all students, in fact, now you'll be able to understand very clearly as to why you are studying in Indian economy agricultural activities, you are studying our industrial activities and that of services activity. I think I have made it clear before we start off in understanding as to what the subject of economics is. I have made it clear to one and all as to what is economics and what is an economy, isn't it? Now let us proceed further, isn't it? Can anyone say as to when the subject of economics had its birth? Yes. Rightly said, it was born in the year 1776. So, the science of economics had its birth in the year 1770. I am just making use of the first alphabets. We cannot keep writing in a complete. Science of economics had its birth in the year 1776. What do you understand by the science of economics had its birth in the year 1776? Is there any special meaning for this sentence? Or it is just, yes sir, there is nothing hidden in this particular sentence. I am repeating it. The science of economics had its birth in the year 1776. When I say so, okay, it implies that economics is a separate branch of knowledge. I am repeating it. Economics is a separate branch of knowledge emerged in the year 1776. It implies that, I am reiterating, it implies that economic ideologies did not prevail. We do not say with that connotation. It implies that economic ideologies did prevail prior to 1776, but those ideologies were present where? In other branches of knowledge like ethics, philosophy, political science, so on and so forth. So I am repeating it. When I say the science of economics had its birth in the year 1776, it implies that economics as a separate branch of knowledge, okay, had emerged in the year 1776, but we cannot say that economic ideologies did not prevail prior to 1776, which means economic ideologies did exist right from the day civilization had started, okay, but it took the status of a separate branch of knowledge only in the year 1776. It took place as a result of whom? By name Adam Smith, Adam Smith, whom we regard him as what? Father of economics. Isn't it? So, the science of economics had its birth in the year 1776 with the publication of work by whom? Adam Smith, whom we regard him as what? The father of economics. Isn't it? He looks at the subject of economics from what perspective? From wealth perspective. And the question arises, how does he define economics then? He defines economics as what? An inquiry into the nature, and cause of wealth of nations. This was the title of the book, and this was also the definition that was given for him to define the subject of economics, isn't it? So he defined economics as what? An inquiry into the nature and cause of wealth of nations, and this was also the title of his publication, isn't it? A very interesting fact that needs to be shared here is that though the subject of economics had its birth in the year 1776, we did not make use of the term called as what? Economics. In fact, larger attempts were being done by a number of people, number of economists to identify this branch of knowledge with different names. Some called it as what? Catalactics, which means what? A science of exchanges. Some called it as what? Plutology, isn't it? Some called it as what? Chromatastic. Like this, a number of names have been given to this particular subject. But none of these names sustain for a longer period of time. But in economics literature, we do not have exact date or year as to when the term economics was being coined and by whom. Is it clear? We have no information in the economics literature as to when and by whom the term economics was being coined. But we do have information in the economic literature that the term economics has been derived from two Greek words. One is oikos, which means what? A house, and nemen, which means what? To manage. So to manage a household was regarded as what? Economics. Is it clear? So this is the what to say, a very interesting part, that it was only during the we have no exact period. We have no exact period as to when the term economics was being coined. Okay, but largely right from the day of what to say, when we identified the subject of economics in the year 1776, it was called by a name called as what? Political economy. People called this subject as what? Political economy for a larger period of time. And this name sustained for almost till the end of or to the later part of 19th century. So I think, but still let us not contemplate. We have no information as to when the term economics was being coined and by whom it was being coined. Okay. So the term economics was used in a very narrow sense to mean what? For an individual as to how to manipulate or manage his individual resources so as to maximize his well-being. So is the case with this, with the reference to society. What is the objective of the society then? They said that the objective of the society is to manage your scarce resources in order to maximize your well-being of what? The society. Well-being of what? The society. Is that clear? So next we'll look into the definition part. Isn't it? See, let us take up the first definition, the wealth definition. As we know that the wealth definition was given by whom? Adam Smith. He regards economics as what? Study of wealth. The question arises, how does he define economics? As we have already stated, it is nothing but an inquiry into the nature and cause of wealth of nations. This is one of the very popular definitions with reference to what? Wealth aspect. There is yet another very popular economist by name J.S. Mill. He says economics is what? A practical science which is concerned with production and distribution of wealth. Production, it's a practical science concerned with what? Production and distribution of wealth. Isn't it? Production and distribution of wealth. We can just take up these two definitions for defining the subject of economics from wealth perspective. So, through these definitions, we have come to know that the subject of economics was looked at from a very, very narrow perspective. Is it? In a very, very narrow perspective. That is, as to how to make wealth or how to increase our richness. So, this people thought that the subject of economics is promoting greediness. So, this became a subject of severe criticism in the hands of the people. So, why at all do we need money? To win our bread. So, they started condemning this subject as what? A bread and butter science. in bread and butter science. They also called it or condemned it as what? A dark and dismal science. A dark and dismal science. That is, this subject which does not have much of its scope. Isn't it? So slowly, the subject starts to die. As it emerged in the year 1776, it starts to die within a period of 100 years of time. It was at that time a great economist by name whom? Alfred Marshall, and he lifts the state of the subject of economics to the state of affairs as to what we are seeing it today. So today there is no aspect of human's life which is not governed by what? Governed, and not only governed, it is also conditioned by what? Economic aspects. So the next definition with reference to welfare we'll look into in the next video. Thank you.